Yeah. Oh, hey, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Keys to the Jet Podcast. I'm your host, Red. And today, we're going to hit part 2 of our Supersonic Saga. Last time we talked about Chuck Yeager busting the sound barrier in the X1 and how America basically went from planes are cool to planes are loud enough to shatter your grandma's dishes. That was the 1940s and 50s. Now we're stepping into the 1960s and 70s. Before we do, hope everyone is having an awesome freaking weekend, awesome freaking day. I am. If this is your first time here, welcome to Keys to the Jet Podcast. If this is not your first time here, thank you for following, sharing, and, just being a fan. I appreciate you. Want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com. You can join with them where you'll be getting, and this will be happening soon. I need to roll it in, but you'll be getting ad-free content, merch, discounts, merch early, bloopers, things of that nature. What else? Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/Keys to the Jet Podcast. Sorry, I'm a little out of it today. But, I wanted to get in here and get you guys an episode because you guys needed it. And our patrons, I want to thank you. Freaky Freeland, thank you. Gregory, thank you. The Mayor, thank you. Fuck you, Cody, thank you. And, of course, Goodyear, thank you. Thank you all. And like I said, if you want to join, donate to the channel, help us channel. Donate to the podcast. Help us become a first world podcast from a third world podcast. You can go to patreon.com/Keys to the Jet Podcast. It's only $5 bucks. Yeah. Anyways, let's get back into it. So, earlier we talked about the 1940s and 50s when aircraft technology was really taking off and they were starting to come up with new shit, right? Well, now we're stepping into the 1960s and 70s when the decades when Supersonic Flight wasn't just experimental anymore. It was the strategy, the dream, the nightmare, and the flex. This is an era of Cold War paranoia. Everyone was a Russian spy. Vietnam chaos, spy planes that made missiles look slow, and rich dudes sipping champagne at Mach 2. We're talking Phantoms, Hustlers, Blackbirds, and you had Concords. And I promise you, there's more drama in this story than your average soap opera. And just as many explosions. Enter the F-4 Phantom. If there's one jet that defines the 1960s, it's the F-4. Ugly as shit. Well, it's loud and big enough that it looked like somebody stapled wings onto a box truck. And yet, this beast became the most important American warfighter of the Cold War. It also turns like a refrigerator. Let's lay down some specs, man. Let's talk about some speckles on this thing. It had twin J-79 turbojet engines, cranking out 17,000 pounds of thrust, each in afterburner. Top speed was Mach 2.2, and service ceiling was over 60,000 feet. Its range was about 1,600 miles. This thing is a rocket-powered brick, and it served with the Air Force, Navy, Marines. Hell, even NASA had a few for the test duties. And, there's a folklore thing about ashtrays being inside of those things. When I was a crew chief, it was always like, yeah, there's ashtrays in F4s. That's cool, dude. But I never had anybody actually tell me that there was. think this is also around the time when, and we could get into this at a later episode, this is around the time when they figured out that, they were like, well, dogfighting is over. So, we'll just give missiles, no guns. You know what I mean? But again, we'll talk about that at a later date. And, yeah. So here's the kicker. When the Phantom entered service, it had no internal gun. Boom. The Air Force geniuses thought guns were old-fashioned. Missiles were solving everything. And yeah, you see how that worked out. Until they got to Vietnam and found out missiles like to miss. Suddenly you got Phantom crews and dogfights with MiG-17s. Literal subsonic planes, and they're yelling, Fox 2, Fox 2. Oh, crap, that didn't work. While getting outturned by 1950s design. So what do? They bolted a gun pod on the Phantom. It sucked. It jammed. Finally, they fixed the problem with the F4E model, which had an internal M61 Vulcan rotary cannon. Moral of the story, never underestimate your gun. But it was a fast-ass jet, dude. But despite its quirks, it dominated. It flew over 5,000 combat sorties. In Vietnam, shot down MiGs, dropped bombs, launched missiles, and did every job Pentagon could dream up. It was the Swiss Army knife of supersonic jets. By the end of the 1960s, America built over 5,000 Phantom. Nearly every NATO ally was flying one too. The Phantom wasn't just an airplane, it was a symbol of American power. They turned them into drones. And F-15s were shooting them down when I was in the Air Force. Shoot, I don't think they have any more that fly, really. And, yeah. So I guess, pretty beefy aircraft that flew real fast. And so, next on our supersonic sort of timeline and travel is one of my personal favorites, the SR-71 Blackbird and the A-12, things like that. If Batman had an airplane, this would be it. Designed by Kelly Johnson and his Skunk Works team at Lockheed Martin. The SR-71 was the ultimate spy plane. It did Mach 3.2 at 85,000 feet. That's right, 3 times the speed of sound, higher than commercial jets can even dream of going in their life. Give you a little ASMR today. At those speeds, the airframe literally heated up. So much that it expanded several inches in mid-flight. That's why it leaked fuel on the ground. And the titanium skin only sealed up at operating temperature. So every time it went up, it basically the skin tempered itself, which means hardened more due to heat. It was awesome. Imagine a jet that has to warm up like your grandma's Buick. Did your grandma drive a Buick? Whose grandma drives a Buick? Is that a thing anymore? Do they do that? Anyways, the engines are Pratt & Whitney J58 turbojets, which basically turn into ramjets above Mach 2. They guzzled fuel faster than your uncle had an open bar, but the payoff was simple. Nothing could catch it. Soviet MiGs couldn't touch it. Missiles couldn't catch it. The Blackbird outran more than 4,000 missiles in its career. The pilot motto, were never fired upon successfully. I think one did get shot down. And the missions were insane. You carried cameras, allegedly, that could read license plates from 80,000 feet and map the world, spied on every Soviet installation, and kept the Cold War from going hot because it gave America real-time intel the Soviets can hide, allegedly. Culturally, the SR-71 became a legend, sleek, black, futuristic. It looked like a spaceship. The X-Men even flew one in their cartoon. or in their, comic book series. Even today, you see in museums, and it still feels like science fiction. And every maintainer who worked on it, they'll tell you it was both a nightmare and a privilege. Titanium tools, exotic fuels, endless quirks. Oh, you're welcome. But damn if it wasn't worth it. All right. All right. We're going to take a break for a second here. Just for a moment. Actually, no. We're not going to take a break. Let's keep it rolling, dog. You know what I mean? Let's keep it rolling. We're not even that far the way through. All right. Next, in come the bombers. The bombers that go boom. B-58 Hustler and XB-70 Valkyrie. Now let's talk about supersonic bombers. Because it wasn't just fighters and spies that went fast. America wanted its nukes. Flying supersonic too. First up, B-58 Hustler. First operational supersonic bomber introduced in 1960. Sleek delta wing, 4 engines, Mach 2 top speed, and a nuclear payload. It sounds pretty awesome, right? Well, it was until you realize it cost a fortune, had a limited range, and was about as forgiving as a chainsaw juggling contest. Crews called it exciting. But dangerous. Out of 116 built, 26 were lost in accidents. That's more than 20%. Not a confidence booster if you're the one sitting in the cockpit. Then came the XB-70, the Valkyrie. And holy hell, this thing, Mach 3 bomber, 6 engines, 185 feet long. It looked like a flying white arrow. The Valkyrie was supposed to cruise at Mach 3 and drop nukes on Moscow, allegedly, before the Soviets even knew what hit them. But by the time it was built, intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, made supersonic bombers kind of redundant. Only 2 were built, and 1 crashed midair in a collision during a publicity flight in 1966 by GE, allegedly. The other one went to the museum. It's a crazy plane, but a dead end in the nuclear strategy game. And still, the Hustler Valkyrie showed just how far America was willing to push the supersonic envelope. Kind of crazy. I've seen pictures of it. There's like a B-58 Hustler out in the desert. In the desert. That's all shredded and shit. Would have been crazy to see or work on those airplanes, man. Yeah. You know? All right. Next segment. The civilian dream. Concorde and Tu-144. Now, let's leave the military flight line for a minute and talk about civilian supersonic dream because if the Air Force could go Mach 2, why couldn't Grandma Ethel fly to London at Mach 2 while sipping her gin and tonic? And that sipping her gin and tonic, mate. I don't know. Listen, I don't do voices, dude. I don't do impressions, all right? I don't do those well. Okay. Enter the Concorde. A joint project between Britain and France introduced in 1976. Sleek, needle-nosed delta wings cruising at Mach 2 with 100 passengers. You could leave New York at sunset and land in London before it was dark. Flight time was around 3.5 hours. That's insane. The specs on this thing, the specs on this thing was 4 Rolls-Royce, Olympus, or Snecma, I think I'm saying it right, Snecma, Olympus 593 turbojets cruising at an altitude of 60,000 feet where passengers could literally see the curvature of the Earth. ASMR. But it wasn't cheap. Tickets cost thousands of dollars. It guzzle fuel like crazy, and because of the sonic boom, it could only go supersonic over the ocean. And across the Iron Curtain, the Soviets rushed out their own supersonic airliner, the Tupolev Tu-144. Comrade. It looked suspiciously like the Concorde, but Soviet spies totally stole design data. Allegedly. But it was rushed, unreliable, and nicknamed the Concordski. Concordski. Right? It actually beat Concorde into the air by a few months, but it had crashes, design flaws, and poor safety. The 144 program fizzled out after only 55 flights with passengers. Concorde, though, became an icon. It flew until 2003, beloved by the rich and powerful, but even in the 1970s, it showed the civilian world what was possible. Civilian supersonic was real, even if it was limited. And that goes into our next one segment about sonic booms and the public backlash. The Oklahoma City sonic boom test. In 1964, the FAA and Air Force decided to test the public's tolerance for daily sonic booms. So for 6 months, jets flew over Oklahoma City twice a day, creating sonic booms equal to 1.1 to 1.4 pounds per square foot of overpressure. At first, people thought it was cool. By month 3, the lawsuits rolled in. 15,000 complaints. Believe that? 4,600 claims for damages, cracked plaster, broken windows, rattled nerves. The government even had to pay out. Eventually had to pay out, and that's why, to this day, supersonic flight over land is basically banned because of the testing in Oklahoma. So, wrapping it up. So, what do we take away from the 1960s and 70s? Supersonic flight wasn't just real, it became part of the Cold War strategy. It became a cultural symbol and it even gave regular people a taste of the future with Concorde. We had the Phantom ruling the skies, the Blackbird rewriting the laws of physics, bombers like the Hustler and the Valkyrie proving speed could carry nukes, and Concorde showing the rich folks could commute across Atlantic faster than you can finish a six-pack. I don't know about that. Supersonic became normal and is normal, and yet it was expensive, dangerous, and controversial. This was the era when we dreamed big, built wild machines, and learned the hard way that just because you can go supersonic doesn't mean you should do it everywhere, every day. All right. I mean, listen, that's part 2. It's part 2 in the books. Supersonic Flight. 1960s and 70s gave us legends, disasters, lawsuits, and champagne at Mach 2. It was the era of dreaming bigger and faster. Our next one of the series will step into the 90s and 90s. Supersonic gets smarter, stealthier, and meaner. Think F-14 Tomcat, F-15 Eagle, F-16 Viper. It's not a Viper. It's not a motherfucking Viper. It's a Falcon. And the rise of stealth bombers. I cannot even talk today. Supersonic speed doesn't go away. It just becomes the baseline while the real flex moves toward invisibility. Yeah. And that's really what we have. That's what I have today for, your main deal, your main shebang-a-bang, if you will. But we can go into other things here. Let's do a little bit of this day in aviation, and let's go into some other stuff. This day in aviation. Let's see. Yep, this day in aviation, October 5th. Let's see, 5 October 1954. Chief Engineering. Okay. Here we go. I got to do something here. I'm using this new software, and I'm trying to. All right. Anyways, I'm trying to share my screen with you guys, but it won't let me because I'm using a new software. It's whatever, dude. Alrighty. This was the armament test aircraft and was equipped with a General Electric T-171 Vulcan 20mm Gatling gun. This 6-barreled gun was capable of firing at a rate of 6,000 rounds per minute. Cool, dude. Test pilots are rad. You know what? I'd like to be a test pilot. It'd be kind of cool, but it's going to be impossible. Impossible. ASMR for me sniffing in your ear, because that's what I just did. Let's see. What else? England got a blimp in 1930. Cool. Those blimps are crazy, dog. Whoa. When did it cry? When did it crash? Cry. Oh, dude. I said, okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let's go. It crashed, dude. A 027. Okay. 5th October, the airship was in the vicinity of Bevis Ridge in northern France. Bevis Ridge, which is an area notorious for turbulent wind conditions. At 0200 hours, it went into an 18-degree dive. So that's approximately 90 seconds before the flight crew was able to recover. Then went into a second dive and impacted the ground. Man. Of the 54 persons on board, only 8 escaped. Sorry for the moment there where it was dead air. But 2 of those would soon die from injuries in the hospital. Damn, man. So only 6 people got out. That sucks. October 5th, 1914, the first aerial combat between 2 airplanes took place during World War I over Concorde Reims in France. Wow, dude, that's cool, dude. Dogfight. A French biplane engaged a German aircraft. The German aircraft had an 8mm machine gun. Damn. The German airplane crashed, and this was the first air-to-air kill in history of warfare. So on October 5th, we had our first air-to-air kill of aviation. That's freaking crazy, dude. It's really crazy. All right, let's get into some news. I know you guys want to see some news. Because I want to see some too. China's new drone light show in a box. Massive swarm launcher speaks to evolving threats. I don't know what that is. Let's talk about F-35s deployed to Puerto Rico. Showcased in first official images. Massive drone no-fly zone imposed over greater Chicago area. Uh, Funds shifted to develop new LC-130J ski bird polar airlifters. That's crazy. First Japanese destroyer heads to U.S. for Tomahawk missile modifications. Damn, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Scaled Composites Model 437 Vanguard jet is now flying as an AI testbed. Yeah, all right. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But nothing real brand new. All right, so let's go over to Air Force Times. We love Air Force Times. Right? I know you guys miss it. U.S. Air Force revamps pilot training. ST-7 era near. Is the government still shut down? I'm behind the times, dude. Let me see here. Let me go look. Google. Is government still closed? As of October 5th, the U.S. federal government is in partial shutdown and has been since the 1st, after Congress failed to pass a spending bill. Well. Dude, you know what? This isn't a political channel, but I wish they'd fucking just get off their asses and do something. You know what I mean? Like, come together as a team and care more about the American people than caring about their fucking dumb fucking bullshit in their pockets. Because that's what they care about more. And that is a fact. Either side, they don't give a flying fuck. Because obviously, they're over here shutting shit down. So, and that's about it. So, that's all I have to say about that. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I love you. This is Keys to the Jet. Remember, your mom's favorite podcast. Your mom's dad's, uncle's favorite, dog's, roommate's favorite podcast. I'm Red. This has been a short one about Supersonic Flight. A little bit of stuff what's going on in the news, and then a good old, small, teeny tiny bashing of Congress. Because they're fuckfaces. And remember, you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, so pretty much any social media outlet. Go share, go like, go subscribe. It's all free. Unless you'd like to donate, and then you can go to patreon.com/Keys to the Jet podcast and be a patron. All right, you guys, I'm getting out of here. I gotta go take a piss. I love you. I'll see you later.